Good morning, everyone. It's an early edition on the West Coast, at least, with my mentor and friend, Blaine Bartlett, learn.blainebartlett.com/LMM. And we'll put up his logo for his Mastery Mastermind that he has. Welcome, Blaine. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. We got the country spread out here. I'm in Montana today. I'm doing
Oh, nice.
Yep, yeah. So
Wow, that is beautiful. Well, we have a special guest, a fellow podcaster, and of course, another at Lake Forest Financial Services. Mark Willis is the founder. But what makes it interesting, Blaine, why I wanted to have him on is, most financial planners create this legacy, or they talk about, security or other issues. What Mark really ties your financial strategy to is something I believe in is the most necessary thing, which ties to the desire that you must be what you can be, is simply hopes and dreams.
yeah,
One of the biggest distinctions in differences, we're a little bit older, all three of us, is, someone said this best to me. They said, you talk about in America, how many people, I think you were on the show with me, Blaine, when they said that we all believed, it went from everyone believed that it would be better, the next generation would be better.
Yep.
To literally most people don't have the hope that they themselves have an opportunity. It's the first time the generation doesn't think that you have an opportunity to do better.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different level of hope, right? It's a different level. It's not generational, it's individual. So Mark, it's interesting you talk about strategy, financial strategies tied to hope, the two currencies of an energy like money that you put into the flow to get what you want, but also the energy of hope or faith, and how those blend on this world. How do you blend those currencies of money and faith?
Well, thank you again, guys, for having me on this conversation and show today. And yes, you're right. Money is an interesting phenomenon in human civilization. I think that there's a lot of blending in the concept of faith and money. And honestly, I really think there's a lot of faith that we put in money, sometimes wrongly so. Mm-hmm. And I would say that there's two principles of the financial universe that we have to contend with. And not just the financial universe, but the universe. I mean, the law of gravity is real, whether we believe it is or not, and entropy. Entropy is another law of the universe that has to be contended with. So things are always trying to pull us down or tear us apart. That's the law of gravity and entropy. Now, I believe that you can, and the unique power and the gift that humanity has been given is the power to think about and to conceive of and to plan for a bigger and brighter future. The hope and the faith that we can make ourselves and build ourselves up and wage war against gravity and entropy. Whether it's you're getting in your best shape, or your human, like your friends and family and loving relationships, or your finances, unleashing your financial potential, oftentimes comes right down to building a system where you can write a contract with your own financial future. I mean, if you had a way to write a contract with your future self and knew with absolute certainty and a high degree of confidence that it was going to be an outcome that was predetermined before you even began, boy, I would get out of bed every day ready to rock and roll and to move toward that future with reckless abandon. But I think too often, the oh-so-average places we park our cash, 401ks, IRAs, etc., have really very little to do in the way of confidence, certainty, etc. And so, yeah, we're back to essentially putting our faith in not things that last, but things as fickle as the stock market. So, you call me not your average financial planner, I guess, but that would be the unfortunate truth that many financial gurus will tell you to put money in things that you can't access, you cannot control. And now we're back to putting our faith in places that it really shouldn't be in the first place.
Money is a form of energy. Dreams are a form of energy. So I'm intrigued, Mark, but the way that you're kind of blending energetics. Yeah, energetic forms here. If I was an investor, and I'm going to get real pragmatic here, and walk me through your process. How would you marry my desire for my dreams to be manifested and the money that I need in order for, in part, to have that happen? How do we go about having that conversation?
Well, Niels Bohr has a quote. He says, "Prediction is very difficult, especially if it's about the future."
Yeah, I heard that one.
I would say you're right. It's nice to talk about. It's good to talk about things as esoteric as energy and hope and faith, but we also need to bring it right down the ladder to what am I going to do to send my kid to college? What am I going to do to get ready for retirement? What am I going to do to prepare for a very long life? We're all living much longer now. So I would say that it starts with the contract. The contract. Actually, guys, without the contract, we don't have a civilization, if we get right down to it. I was meeting with a gentleman just yesterday. It was over Zoom. We have one-on-one advisory consults with every person we work with. And the conversation was very straightforward. He's very proud, and rightfully so, of his real estate empire he's built. For him, it's a good $200,000 a year of net walkaway cash every year for him and his wife. So it's a good lifestyle business for him. And, he was telling me how happy he was with real estate because he could feel it. He could touch it. He was working on tile and grout when we were talking to each other. I mean, the conversation was very much about his real estate. And I just, in the interest of going an onion layer deeper, I asked him a question. I said, well, okay, tell me, without the deed in your hands, because his mortgages were paid off, and without the rental lease contract with your tenants, how much control over those properties do you really have? And he didn't have to think long. He said, Mark, without the contract, I would have no control. All we would have is squatters' rights, right? Whoever's in that property with the shotgun has the property if we don't have the contract. So what are some financial contracts that you can set up for yourself to make sure that you've got control and access and an outcome in your financial future, which is predetermined before you even begin? There's only a few. In fact, I was in a museum here in Chicago just the other day, and I was shocked. I was just walking up and down the halls of this museum. It's the Oriental Institute Museum, and they've got the largest collection of biblical archaeology and Mesopotamian history in the Western civilization. It was a surprise to see. And sitting right next to some cuneiform tablets and stuff from, way long ago, was an annuity contract, of all things. An annuity contract from 300 BC. Now, what is an annuity? It's a contract to be paid every single day for the rest of your life. Now, that is a contract in your future. I mean, isn't that what many of us anyway, are striving for, is to have some sort of financial assurance that your income, your paycheck won't stop, even if your income runs dry, even if your ability to work runs dry. So, that's just one practical tool that's still available today. Now, I don't recommend everyone run out and grab an annuity, for example, but it's just an example of one of the way down the ladder concepts where you can truly write a contract with your future and build for yourself something that you can count on. It's all based on the contract.
So, Mark, I've invested in almost everything, and through 2008, I learned about future contracts. I learned about, I lost over $100 million, and I started investing in annuities, IULs, for contracts with the future. The only caveat, as I did it, my strategy is make as much money as I can, so it comes through me for others. A certain portion will be even through me for my future self, to pay myself and future family. But, going and experiencing 2008 when the banks were failing, and, there is at one point, if a contract is not enforceable, even an annuity, then it's as good as the paper it's written on. And at some point you have to have faith, whether it's that you're going to have an enforceable contract, a deed to your land, your insurance company is going to pay the death benefit, or the bank's not going to go under. Yeah, I'm thinking of what you're talking about, and I absolutely agree. I implement this strategy in my life, but I think we're going a little bit, if we talk about faith, you got to put your faith somewhere. And, I put my faith in my future self.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
And so, for you, how do you reconcile a client that comes to you and says, look, you're full of it. Everything has to have faith into somewhere. So I'm putting my faith that, I have a deed, and over history, people have held onto their land for centuries and centuries and centuries. Banks have gone under 3 times in my life. I'm not going to put my faith in the bank. I'm not going to put my faith in gold. The greatest caveat right now are, Bitcoin, NFTs, crypto, because people cannot equate the same faith. What do you say to those people when they say, look, an annuity is worth the paper it's written on?
Oh boy. Well, for those that are really into NFTs, non-fungible tokens, Bitcoin, etc., all I have to say is, who is the end user of that NFT?
Right.
With wheat or gold, or, back to the futures contract, a farmer has a bunch of wheat in his yard or whatever, his farm, and he knows the price today. He doesn't know the price this fall when it comes time to harvest. So what does he do? He pays a small fee now to get a guaranteed locked-in future, a locked-in price on that wheat in the fall when it comes time to harvest. Now with a house, you've got the bricks, you've got the mortar, you can use it. The end user in that case is the renter, who might be able to give you some cash flow. Now, a digital house, which I'm now hearing as of this week, digital world, yeah, I can be a neighbor next to Elon Musk in my digital make-believe world. But what good I could have a penthouse on Fifth Avenue, but there are infinite digital worlds you can create, and there's no end user. And I'm just not there yet.
That's why I like my beach That's why I like my beach property.
Yeah. So I would say, I totally agree. I think our biggest investment is the contract we make with ourselves. The biggest investment we have is the contract we make with ourselves, because, as you guys say so well on this show, you are your greatest investment. Nobody else has the kind of desire, control, and intention over your financial future than you do. I've often said the 4 most dangerous words in the vocabulary, in the financial vocabulary, are "do it for me." If you if you abdicate your financial responsibility to a spouse or to an investment advisor or to anybody on the radio talking about money, you're going to give up the biggest and most precious asset you have, which is your own very self. So I totally agree.
I have to interrupt because I'm going to have to let you go too, because Tim Storey is waiting back there. But great. I got to tell you this. One of the things that I think, Mark, you could talk about, and you talk around right now, is emotion. Right. So if all of these things are energy, where are we putting it into motion? Because I think my lesson of finance was that if I spent so much emotional behavior, emotional self towards things that were uncertain and out of my control. And once I said to myself, wait a second, I'm really good at making my money, so I'm going to find the safest, most stable, secured, guaranteed places to put my money and not care, because I learned I can double the amount of money if I trusted myself on the front end, which has the highest dividend of any investment you'll ever make. People who make more money, you can make 1,000 times more each year. There's no, and guarantee it because you have control of yourself. You can't guarantee anyone 1,000% return on even an annuity or whatever. So I took all my energy and said, it's on the front end from now on. And I'm going to buy things I don't have to look at, that I have faith in. I don't even have to look at until it's time that I need to look at it. Instead of, I wasted millions of dollars not losing it in real estate. I lost it paying attention to things I shouldn't be paying attention, giving intention to things I shouldn't be giving intention to, and then the bad coincidences occurred in my life. Anyway, buddy, we have to have you back because this is fascinating. I know you wrote a book as well. You have a best-selling book. People can reach that, The Secret to Lifetime Financial Security. The nation's leading financial advisors reveal how to turn your back on banks and Wall Street and take control of your financial future today. lakegrowth.com. Anywhere else people can meet you, Mark?
If you guys know how to get to bit.ly/quick BOY, that's quick bank on yourself. So go to bit.ly.com/quick BOY, and I'd love to chat for 15 minutes and see if we can help you guys write a future for yourself.
Great.
I love it, Mark.
Love the way you're positioning this. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. And the title of the book, it's a book itself.
Yeah.
That's right.
Speaking about books, we got the king coming on.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark is the leadoff hitter for the extraordinary Tim Storey. Hopefully he is ready here. Here he comes. We got him up.
Hey.
You know Tim Storey loves Blaine Bartlett and Dave Meltzer when he'll wake up early, 5:15, to come and see us. Good morning, Tim.
Love you guys. So guys, just so you know, I'm an early morning guy all the time.
All right.
I figured when I asked you to join me, you have this new book that's unbelievable, and I just had to have you on. And we're blessed to have just a packed agenda, and I just found an early morning spot for you, Tim. What do you think about what we were talking about, the investment in ourselves, this emotional investment, this financial investment in ourselves? You have the Miracle Mentality book, and you touch on self and being a miracle yourself.
Yeah, you know what happened while you guys were talking? I actually pulled up some notes, because a good speaker has notes in different files. And I think that part of it, guys, is it's a change of mindset, because we were raised a certain way about just, buying a house and, just doing the property and then money in the bank, just certain things that we've always been taught. But as you guys know, because you talk about it all the time, a mindset is a point of view, the way of seeing things, a vantage point. So it's strange, as we get older, we're learning that we've got to change some of the ways we've seen things in the past. And so we need to realize we need adjusting. And the word adjust, as you guys know, means to modify, to alter, to regulate, to fine tune. And so some things that he was talking about are kind of new to the way I think or see things. And it now makes me want to go on a deeper discovery to find out more.
That's great. The whole idea of mindset, David, you mentioned this when we were talking with Mark, investing in self, this is where the guarantee actually lies, is if I'm looking for guarantee. And the title of your book, Tim, the Miracle Mentality, I think, I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Yes. The mindset. Yeah, that's the miracle. Yeah. The whole idea of the mastermind, and this is not a shameless plug for my program, but the idea of a mastermind, I've got to find ways to actually fine tune my mindset. And it's almost impossible to do by myself. Yes. In my experience, because I keep bumping into me that's there, and there's no expansion. In your book, how do you deal with that? The miracle mentality, tapping into the source of magical transformation.
Number one, Blaine, you're great at what you do. So you're great at what you do. So I think what happens is that you really have to realize that there needs to be a change of mindset. That I really believe that the miracle mentality is two things. Number one, it's a gift. It's a gift that is given to us. And so psychologists have found that, children are gifted with this gift of imagination. You say to a little kid, little girl, what are you? I'm a princess. Or they have make-believe friends, or, David, obviously loves sports. When I go speak at these inner city schools.
He's a make-believe football player.
Yeah.
He's looking good. When I speak at these inner city kids schools, they could be like 6 and 7. I say, what do you want to be? NBA, NFL. So I think we're gifted with the miracle mentality, but then I think the key is it needs to be developed. And I like to study words. So the word develop, as you know, means grow, evolve, mature, expand, enlarge, and advance. So as well as David has done, and Blaine, as well as you've done, as well as I've done, man, don't you feel like we still need to grow, evolve, mature, expand, enlarge, and advance? And that's one reason I wrote the book.
Tim, in your book too, you talk about different states. I like to talk about 3 worlds: a world of not enough, just enough, and more than enough. And we all 3 are abundant thinkers. In fact, Blaine has mentored me on really the metaphysics and some quantum physics about limitations and how we perceive these worlds. You have, a different take on these three different states. So I thought you could maybe share with us not only the states, but how they impact our lives.
Well, I think that the beauty, like if you look at great NBA players, if you look at Kevin Durant, he was raised in a certain culture, different area than LeBron, different than James Harden, but yet they get to the NBA place and they play at a similar level. So I think all three of us were raised different ways, and we've come to like a certain level of understanding and wisdom. Mine was in theology. I was taking to church at 4 years of age. I was, from Compton, California, lower income, 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. And we went to a charismatic Pentecostal church. And so it was there that I learned about faith. And I remember as a Sunday school teacher would talk about like Noah and the ark, and he built this amazing boat. My imagination just went wild. And Daniel in the lion's den. Guys, I was buying into all of it, okay? So I think that what I saw in my family is that we were stuck in what I called an almost life. And almost means nearly, sort of, it almost happened. But then I found, as I began to look at other people's lives, that they were living what I call a most life. But most is good, but that's not always great because it depends on whose most you're living under. It's like John Maxwell with the law of the lid, okay? Mm-hmm. But then I saw what you guys have tapped into, and that's like this utmost life where you could break through the ceiling. And that's when my mentality began to change. And I literally began to renew my mind and see those things that were not yet as though they were already. I was in Oprah Winfrey's backyard just dialoguing with her as friends. She said, "At what point did you know you were Tim Storey?" I said, "When I was 10. And she said, "I knew I was Oprah," and that she gave her age. It was very young as well. But David, I think you could identify with that. When you were little, did you not know you were going to do something special?
At 5.
Okay, see, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Blaine?
I was about 7.
Okay, amazing stuff. But we didn't know how we were going to quite get there from maybe almost to most to utmost. But the way I teach it in the book is we learn 3 primary ways: education, conversation, and observation. And a lot of what I've learned is in the dialogue, just like this. And I think that's why it's important that even though guys like us are busy, that we sit down more often and just like dialogue as humans. Because man, sometimes you're one conversation away from a brilliant new move.
Beautiful. I love that, Tom. Yeah. The imagination, and I talk about this in a lot of the work I do. The imagination is the gateway to the soul.
Yes.
And the soul is always looking for ways to express itself. And I don't mean soul in a religious sense. I mean the soul in that life affirming, that life giving, that thing that wants to use me as a vehicle to be great, to go to that utmost.
Agreed.
And playing with that imagination is something that adults, and you touched on this really well, Tim. And adults don't play with the imagination anymore. Yeah, they get to a point and they stop. They say, "Well, that's daydreaming. I've got work to do. I've got to get down to business." No, you don't.
You hit a perfect word that I've done a lot of research on, and that's the word play. So here's what we found about children in play, is that you guys all either have had children or you have grandchildren or children around you, just like me. And so little children wake up, and at a certain age, they're looking usually for 2 things: food and like amusement. They want to play, whether it's cartoons back in the day or they're Legos or building blocks, whatever they fancy at that age. So they want to play. But then as they get older, the mother says, or the father, "But then you have to go to school. But then can I play? But then you have to eat lunch. But then can I play? But then you got to come home and do your work. But then can I play?" So they're constantly looking for a playtime. And Blaine, you're so right. We miss that. We miss that as adults because we get so driven and so, so there. And I create playtimes for myself. And one of mine is in music. So for the last 30 minutes, I've been listening to Stevie Wonder, because Stevie Wonder triggers me back to like an era when I was getting raised up in life, that things just felt good.
Yeah. It's so funny. I just invested in a company called Hug Notes. 250,000, they're in beta, 250,000 users, and all they've done is taken your message that you want to send. So if I miss you, Tim, I would write, hey buddy, I haven't seen you for the whole year. I can't wait till I see you. But the emotional impact of putting music behind the words in a text creates this same biochemical effect of a hug.
Wow. Very powerful.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, I mean, it literally is a very viral, 205 countries, 250,000 downloads in a beta from a hug note that is simply my text message that I get to pick the song to play behind it. And that music makes a difference. I just want to touch on one thing, and then I want you to pitch your book, because I want everyone out there to buy it. I literally, this man is a genius. He's more interested than interesting, which is why I immediately fell in love with him. But I would we haven't talked on a topic to me that's related directly to miracles. We've talked about many of them. It's love, beyond the play, beyond, this curiosity is tremendous. I teach it, I preach it. I want people to be empowered with it. But how important is love within the context of the miracle mentality?
Well, the miracle mentality is really based on love, because I believe that is one of the steps of the miracle mentality. I teach in the book, we need to believe in miracles. And then secondly, we need to expect miracles. And I think a lot of people believe them, but they don't expect them for their own life. Yeah. And when you expect something, you lean into something. You lean in. And I notice a lot of very wealthy people that come to our seminars, they could be the wealthiest guy in the room, but they're the ones that are leaning. They're not the guys that's here. Yeah. They're expecting. So you have to believe, you have to expect, but then you have to receive. You have to receive miracles, and a lot of times shame will try to come against you and say, you're not worthy, look what you've done in the past, etc. Okay? Expect, and then you believe, you expect, you receive, you become a miracle. And that's what's happened to our lives, where people say, like, look what these guys pulled off. And then here's the last thing that I love, is that you become a miracle releaser. And you become a miracle releaser because you love people. So, I am basically a humanitarian. 75 countries of the world, third world nations, lifting up people. And so I do that out of love. But out of love, I'm a releaser of miracles. And out of love, both David and Blaine, you guys are releasers of miracles. So that's why I want miracles so deep inside my system that I just want to release them everywhere I go.
I love it. I literally love it.
I love it. Cool. And you, Tim.
Thank you.
Yeah, where can people find the book? Where are we pushing? I'm going to say it one more time. I rarely do shameless plugs other than for Blaine's Mindset Mastermind, because I love that mastermind. Where can people find the book?
And thank you for this, guys. Do you mind if I lift it up?
Yeah, please.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have it here. So what I think this is more of a movement. I really do. I think that, I've written other books that have done well. And I think that the miracle mentality is essential right now. And that people need to really step back into the miracle mentality because of what's happened with the pandemic and quarantine and everything that's going on. They need to just break back in. So, it's found on Amazon and wherever books are sold, but it's Tim Storey's Miracle Mentality.
I just have to tell you one thing, Tim. So for 5.5 years, Blaine knows this, I study Course in Miracles every day. And I started reading your book, and I'm like, gosh darn it. I said, now I'm going to have to add this. I'm going to have to wake up even earlier to make sure I get my 10-minute time of Tim Storey to make sure that I have the greatest supplement to the Course in Miracles that I've seen in decades. So thank you so much for sharing your release with us, all your love, your kindness, and genius, which is the expression of God. You are a true expresser of God, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you in person.
Yep, very good. Come back and visit us.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
My Miracle, Tim Storey. Go ahead, check out his book, The Miracle Mentality. We got to do more with Tim Storey, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we need to get him on for a much longer segment.
Yeah.
And then you bring him onto the clubhouse, and we can just have an interesting conversation there.
Yeah, he's a phenomenon like you. And I sat here going, I can't believe I have my two mentors here, and we're sucking in for 15 minutes what other people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in graduate school to hopefully siphon out for a couple of years. So anyway, speaking of which, we have the double C coming on, Chuck Cohn.
Chuck, yeah.
Nerdy.com. I love it. Founder and CEO of Nerdy. Chuck, welcome to Office Hours. We apologize for putting you behind Tim's story, but you'll have to do your best.
I will accept your apology. Thanks for having me on.
You're awesome.
Great to have you here.
Give us a little bit of background about Nerdy.
Sure. So Nerdy is a consumer internet platform for online learning, and we're seamlessly connecting experts and learners in any subject, anywhere, anytime through a single cohesive destination where you can learn in 4 different learning formats across 3,000 different subjects. And we have the leading gig economy platform for online learning.
Leading gig economy platform. That's interesting. Yeah.
Which the e-schools of the world, which is so important. It's so amazing because obviously this space, and Blaine and I are so blessed to know this space, just has grown exponentially.
Yeah.
And we've actually looked at, one of the frustrations of a traditional education is that you have to utilize so much of an education that's either not aligned with your values or not aligned with your capabilities or not aligned with your interest. And this gig education economy, taking the world's greatest minds specifically to what they do great. It's this situational knowledge experience now, these e-schools, which lend themselves very well to professors like Blaine and I, who are, specifically good at one thing, but don't have the time to sit at the University of the Ohio State University. No kidding.
Oregon.
How have you seen the adaptation to e-learning comparative to traditional learning? And do you think in 10 years, there's going to be a blend of traditional with or just e-learning?
Well, what we do is really supplementary to some of the existing infrastructure that exists in the world. So you can learn in a one-on-one setting. You can learn in a small group setting. We also have large group classes where we have anywhere from, call it 500 to 50,000 people in the same class. And we also have adaptive diagnostic testing and machine learning based learning, and they're all kind of woven together. And so if you kind of think about who uses our platform, it really ranges in age from K through 8, high school, college, grad, and professional. And we help people with a variety of different subjects. We're not a school. This is a direct-to-consumer internet platform where you can learn in a variety of settings. And the use cases often focus on supplemental help. And so the kind of problem statement that you highlighted earlier, I would also add you spend a lot of time in learning and in education focusing on things that you already know and not focusing on the things that you very specifically don't know. And so the existing systems are orchestrated around kind of teaching to the mean, so to speak. And what we're doing is delivering personalized live learning at scale. And that's what's so unique.
The way that you position this, and I'm just kind of reading celebrity-led courses and adaptive diagnostic testing. Excuse me. In what way is it similar or dissimilar to a masterclass structure? And this is taking the adaptive diagnostics, and kind of parking it for right now, but just the celebrity-based structure on this.
Sure. So our kind of superpower is related to live and personalized, and that's what we're doing at scale. So whether it's one-on-one with 5 to 25 people in the same class, or the celebrity-led free courses that we actually offer, they're all live. And then kind of woven around them is this adaptive learning environment that allows you to figure out exactly what you do and don't know and be really efficacious and efficient with your time. So it's a little bit different in that it's actually live. It's woven into the experience as it relates to other things that you can learn. And we kind of think of it as a content strategy that's highly additive to the overall ecosystem.
Interesting.
And what's the data play? Obviously, when we have the diagnostic testing, we have the celebrity component as a bug light to draw in up to 50,000 people live. My mind, the business side of Dave Meltzer, not the Tim Storey side of Dave Meltzer, starts adding up the dollars of data. And you're obviously collecting a lot of data in order to do the diagnostic test of utilizing the celebrity. What is the data play or economics behind that?
Really, everything on the platform is instrumented. So whether it's a diagnostic test that you take that's machine learning based, or whether it's actually the experts going through the application process and doing recorded video interviews that are then synthesized and scored using predictive algorithms, really from start to finish on both sides of the network, we're instrumenting the entire experience. It goes back into what we call our data lake. And then we have algorithms that attempt to personalize the experience and either improve quality, lower cost, or do something that improves convenience. And as our data set has grown, as the business has shifted to 100% online over the last couple of years, we've been able to much more deeply personalize that experience, get a better expert for each individual who's right for them, and then through some of the adaptive testing, actually construct unique pathways for each individual student that then allow them to be way more efficient on the platform. So basically, as the data set has grown, it really allows us to better personalize the experience. We're then rewarded with happier customers who come back more, who have higher retention, higher lifetime value, et cetera. And it's kind of a virtuous cycle.
So you essentially got a narrowcast structure as opposed to a broadcast structure. Yeah, and the algorithm is what enables that, is what I'm hearing. So if I'm a student, if I'm looking for an education on black hole physics, I can kind of come onto the site and I will be matched with somebody that is not a generalized class, so to speak, but okay, here's what I'm looking for, and then here's who you can actually work with that will give you exactly what you're looking for. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so in the one-on-one setting, 3,000 different subjects. You could learn black hole physics, you could learn reading and writing, you could study for a professional exam. And what we'll do is we'll actually take all the data available, typically 100 plus different variables, and then feed it into a series of machine learning algorithms to try to find the right person for you. And what we see is when we get that match right, that it leads to much better outcomes, much happier customers, much higher retention. And and it really, to your earlier point, all comes back to the actual data. We also have cohort-based classes, very often broken up by proficiency level, which can be informed by diagnostic testing. But you could just take a class on astrophysics as an example with a cohort of people, each Thursday night as suits your interest.
Brilliant.
And is it a subscription-based model as well?
We have a couple different models, so you can buy basically blocks of hours for one-on-one. It can range from as little as 1 hour or as much as 50, and you can then use it across any of 3,000 different subjects or tens of thousands of experts. With classes, typically a couple $100, and you basically just buy a class that would last for, call it 8, 10, 12 weeks. And then we also do have subscription products, so you can pay $19 a month for kind of unlimited medium-sized classes through our VT Plus offering.
Right. Okay.
And just real quick, Blaine, one more question on the analytics side of the celebrity or the teacher, the professor. It seems as if you said you do recorded content of the actual professors and celebrities and then utilize that and analyze that. What's some of the feedback that you give to the professor or the celebrity that is of value to them? Because I assume that's something very unique to what you do.
Yeah, so we have lots of different feedback loops, and some of it, for instance, all the customer-driven feedback is really the most valuable. And so, after every single session, students and parents are, depending on who the learner is in that example, professional or parent of a student, is encouraged to actually give feedback. And there's a whole host of other ways that we can kind of programmatically, kind of improve the overall experience. We also spend a lot of time on things like audio and video stability, making sure that everything you click on, everything you test is reliable, that works consistently, and kind of rooting out anything can go wrong. And when you do that, from the customer's perspective, it's just a kind of a frictionless experience. It's reliable. And what we're trying to do is build an experience that is markedly better online than anything that had existed offline previously. So, that order of magnitude better experience. And, we think it's already markedly better than we can get offline, and we've been building towards that for a long time.
It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, and you founded this in 2007 when you were a junior in university, right?
Yeah, a long time ago. We've come a long way since then. But
yeah, quite a run. Congratulations.
Where'd you go to school?
Washington University in St. Louis.
Oh, excellent school. Real quick. So, I get a lot of great ideas in a lot of great companies, especially in the gig economy, and they don't have one thing that you have from starting in 2007 beyond situational knowledge and dummy tax. But you have an incredible domain, and I just have to point this out. In the last few minutes, I can imagine, especially during COVID, that powerful domain, which has extreme value, nerdy.com is the bomb. Let's just. I looked at that. I said, I am so jealous. Yeah. And let me quickly tell you, actually, a couple minutes. I worked for West Publishing in 1992. We were one of the first internet companies in the world. It started as .edu. So you can imagine there is literally, 3 almost sites. Well, I picked up on the fact you could get domain names. And I had a true conversation at 24 years old because I made a lot of money at 24. I said, I should dump 30 grand and buy up the.com, a.com, all of these words. And everyone looked at me like, why would you waste $30,000 on that? Here when I see the nerdy.com thinking this is worth it, forget what the actual domain is worth. How much has it been worth, especially during COVID, to drive traffic? Because no matter how great your school's solutions, classes, celebrities are, if nobody's going there, it's a big waste of money. You have the most valuable bug light of all, nerdy.com. How valuable is that to driving traffic?
Well, our flagship business is actually Varsity Tutors. So
okay,
Nerdy's kind of the parent name. It allows us to talk to investors about the big idea and opportunity. Varsity Tutors is actually the primary flagship business we have. And, it gets millions and millions of visitors per month. And it's been consistently growing over time. I'd actually say that, from my perspective, the domain name, the name is, eventually it's what you make of it. And it's taken a long time and a lot of hard work to build something that delivers a great experience to learners and customers that's differentiated. And, at this point, Varsity Tutors, and I think Nerdy as the parent company, is becoming synonymous with high quality live learning, higher quality, lower cost, more convenient, and being able to help you in anything you want, which we think is really unique for a consumer platform like this. So, people are kind of going around the traditional systems now. And what we're trying to do is establish our brand as something that is kind of synonymous with consumers getting help in real time in whatever topic they need.
I think it's a phenomenal solution. And I'm so glad I gave you the opportunity to talk about the other website because I don't have those in my notes. That's awesome. And I look forward to looking into it more just as a teacher and with all the celebrities, athletes, entertainers, millionaires, billionaires, and entrepreneurs that are within the context of Blade of my relationship capital. I'd love to have a conversation to further that expertise and to amplify it through a leading platform for the gig economy because I think it's genius. And congratulations, Chuck. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Hey, we'd love to have you on.
Awesome.
Hey, we'll check it out.
I definitely will. I'll talk to you later, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. VarsityTutor.com and, of course, nerdy.com. Amazing. All right. We are sad to say on our last guest here, and hopefully he'll walk into the screen. What do you think, Matt? Should we take a quick tidbit, or should we bring him on and see if we have an empty screen? Sean, you there, buddy? If not, take him off for a sec. Blaine and I will speak for a moment. Before we talk about the Chief Visionary Officer and co-founder of Unblinded, Sean Callagy. Before we bring Sean in, I think, what do they say? Nature calls. Is that what happened here?
Nature calls. Hello.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick, just because I have to get to the studio. I'm going to do a pre-takeaway before we talk to Sean.
Yeah, no, that's good. One of the things I was struck by, when we were talking to Tim, this idea of play, and can I play after lunch? Can I play after I get back from school? Early on, we start separating experiences into domains, and there's a consequence to that, because when I start experiencing myself as separate, things start to go off the rails in a very interesting way, and oftentimes in a very destructive way. So one of my takeaways here is the idea of how do I keep the disparate parts of my life connected in a seamless manner that allows for integrity, that allows for this holistic experience of growth. I want to be able to play in every domain of my life, and to think that I can't play at work is crazy. To think that I can't play, in my marriage is crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and I can't. Why can't I work at play? I mean, all of this sort of stuff comes into play. So you just The takeaway here, and a couple of the other conversations we've had, the distinction between gravity and entropy. Yeah. There's always a polarity in play. And I'm again coming back into hold down, tear apart. That's life, and that's where the miracle of life happens. Is when I don't allow myself to get captured by just one end of that polarity. I kind of meld it all.
It's such a great takeaway, and for me, mine was faith. And I think it's a simple question, real quick. So we're gonna bring Sean Callagy on. He's getting set up there, but I think there's an important question, beyond the activity you get paid for, and activity you don't get paid for, because I don't believe in work, in the context of your play. But I think when you get to a point where you ask, I take inventory of my values every morning, and what I'm asking myself is, what am I going to put faith in today? Right? Because faith is an energy that, just like money is a currency that you put into the flow to get what you want. So what I put my faith in is what coincidences will occur. So I think for me, whether it be your financial, whether, like Tim, who's an absolute incredible guru, putting those miracles to work in a mindset, putting faith in self, whatever it is, I think for me, it's just a reminder that by taking inventory of your values every morning, you're putting faith in yourself. Something you taught me, one of my favorite Blaine Bartlett takeaways is, when the COVID started, I said, what should I do? He said, Dave, look at what you have control of. You have control of your mindset, your heart set. And I took it as your conscious continuum. And those were the three things that I've put faith into. And I've had the best year of my life, and I'm not ashamed to tell people that, because I'm able to help more people because I had the best year of my life. And 2021 will be even better, not just because of my mindset, heart set, and conscious continuum, but because it's 2021, and 21 is one of my lucky numbers, and Roberto Clemente. So I digress. We'll bring in the Chief Visionary Officer, UnblindedMastery.com, co-founder of Unblinded, Sean Callagy, sitting there. Thank you very much for the tour of your house. I get to so, you have a beautiful home, sir.
Thank you, my friend. My apologies for that. The team, in light of my visual disability, remotely activates me, and the camera was facing in an odd direction from last night's festivities. So appreciate it. And I don't mean drinking festivities. We had a beautiful, incredible celebration last night. And thank you, Dave, for having me here this morning, and for everybody for your time and attention.
Well, all three of us have something in common, Sean, because the first time I ever met Sean online, I've heard a ton of unbelievable things about him. When you and I met, Blaine, and it was at first sight. In fact, I couldn't keep my hands off your leather jacket. Sean and I, we didn't get to meet in person the same way, but man, it was like instant. The minute I heard his voice, I heard so much. It was like, okay, we've lived different lives together. I think we were business partners or brothers somewhere, just like you and I, Blaine. So, Sean, I'm going to start with an easy question. What is Unblinded?
Sure. Unblinded is about helping people, supporting people, and seeing what they don't see, about how to exponentially grow their money, their time, and their magic. And that there's a mechanism and a formula, I believe, I'm absolutely certain, that is controlling our money, time, and magic each and every day, that whether we're present to it or not, it is controlling those outcomes. And it's the process of bringing that forth and rising people in their mastery around it.
What a great cleanup hitter for today. You're a great follow-up to Tim's story, man. I'm telling you, you just aggregated all three of our guests into that unblinded statement. Go ahead, Blaine.
Well, I was just saying, the real raw opening. I had the pleasure of being on one of the shows a couple of weeks ago. And it's a fascinating experience, just in terms of being able to just land something and then leverage from that. I'd be very curious, just kind of explain, the whole, the fit between the real raw open and the process of unblinded. I mean, just kind of as a mechanism.
Yeah, sure. So Blaine, thank you for that. And thank you for being there. So I believe this, that all that marketing is giving people a shared experience. So let's go from this perspective. All business is built on relationship, number one. Number two, all relationship is built on shared experience. And number three, the question becomes, how do you create the most value-driven shared experience with the greatest efficiency of money, time, and energy expenditure? And that's what the real raw is. It's a value-added dynamic to begin the conversation, to begin the relationship. It's the first shared experience to open up the possibility of shared experience. And it's 1,000 times better than a cup of coffee. And that's what it is.
Yeah, moving from hello to yes.
Yeah. And it's been extraordinary. And it's experiential, relationship-driven marketing. And by the way, I use marketing in the best of terminology. And Peter Drucker says, all that business is marketing and innovation. And what marketing is at its worst is pitching, hooking, funneling, closing. At its greatest, it's that initial entry point of a relationship creation where you've given value first, you've had fun, you've connected at a heart level, and then you go from there, which is how every relationship, from our intimate to our business to our friendships and social, and all of them are created.
It's so interesting. We were talking earlier about the law of gravity and entropy, and the yin and yang of the universe of separation and cohesiveness. And, from the instant of listening to you, I knew and kind of defined you when people asked me, so what's Sean like? I said, he's a great reconciler. And they kind of looked at me, what do you guys say? If you look at his background as being one of the top trial attorneys in the world, and you look at the pragmatic side of what he teaches and what he talks about, there's very few people, and I believe, I'm a transcoder and a reconciler myself, that I have a capability of blending this very, very pragmatic, competitive, in a different vibration into a higher realm of miracles, love, relationships, relativity, which to me is the law of gravity. My feet are deep on the ground I'm not nearly the lawyer you were. I may be close in the sales department, but it all is kind of that progression of transformation. And how were you able, and are you able, to be such a great reconciler, to be able to see both sides and blend them in a temperance that's acceptable to everybody on every plane or frequency?
Well, first, Dave, you're one of the most brilliant people I've ever met, and everything I'm saying these days is recorded, so you can play that and look through. I don't say that to 99.9999% of people. So I mean what I say, I mean, and you're extraordinary. So thank you for having me here today. Appreciate it. And this is interesting because I believe that we create our own reality, and what you might hear right now could be misperceived as saying I was born that way, which I wasn't. Okay. And it's acquirable. So I had the unique distinction of being the oldest child, grandchild, and great-grandchild. So I was around adults from a young age. And I heard conversation continuously that was adult conversation. Who did what, who forgot to bring a cake, who took an extra slice of pizza. Just typical adult gossip, heart-centered, variance. And I began to think about somehow through watching that and the experiences of watching Batman, James Bond, Robin Hood, adventure heroic characters, I began to glean, and I didn't know this at 7 or 8, but what I was really doing is I look back as I was gleaning, what are the characteristics that I want to model and emulate? And what I saw from a character like a James Bond or a Batman, and from specific people I just articulated about in my own family life, I saw a certain Renaissance-like diversity and skill set. And I saw people who just decided that they would be outstanding in a variety of different things that were relevant. And so as I began to think about those things, I began to recognize those patterns first in the same way you'd be wobbling on your legs as a newborn deer. And then in high school, I gained access to visualization and imagery in a $10 class. I began to apply things in athletics that other people weren't doing, like lifting weights in the late 80s. And what that demonstrated for me, Dave, and everybody, was there's a unique access to creating results that was different. And then I realized that language was the fundamental container that we needed for it. That was the fundamental container. And without it, nothing could happen. And that's the beginning of it. And I've never stopped rising my mastery. I just confronted my team on the call this morning and myself in the elements and dynamics where we're not actualizing. And what we had to do, and I love transcoding your phraseology, we were interpreting. I say I'm a translator, and you just said it. I don't know if you've ever heard me say that before. I couldn't agree with you more, because the power of language and the micro distinctions of it make all the difference.
Yeah, I do a lot of work out of the U.S. and as a consequence of that, in my lectures and the training programs that I do and whatnot. Now this is pre-COVID. I'd be working with translators and interpreters, and I've got one that I've worked with in Japan for literally 30 some years. And it's fascinating watching film of me and her actually, and I'll work a room for 3 days on a program, a leadership program, and I'm the only one in the room that doesn't speak Japanese. Now I do to a degree, but she's standing right next to me, and she's probably about 1.5 feet shorter than I am. And when I'm talking, I gesticulate with my hands and whatnot. And you turn the audio off, and she is a mini me. It's she doesn't just rely on the words. The words are irrelevant in the context of what it is that I'm trying to communicate anyways. It's an energetic transference, and she has picked that up, and she's brilliant linguistically. I mean, I have no idea how her brain is structured. I just can't imagine that, because she will go both ways flawlessly. But it's the motor skill, the motor, just all of this physiology that she incorporates, and the language. And I say, and I'm using language in the broadest sense of the term here, Sean. It's all energy. It communicates everything. So I just want to mark that out in terms of when I go from hello to yes, it's not just in the words that I'm using.
Absolutely. And Dave, is it okay if I drop in with a 60-second example?
Yeah, jump in.
Okay, so we just came off of, and so the high is here, the energy is here. For the American Foundation for the Blind, I had told Kirk Adams, the president, that in a year, we're going to go to Business Mastery, and we're going to raise a bunch of money, and you're going to win Business Mastery. And the prior record in fundraising, the Tony Robbins Business Mastery, which just ended this weekend, was $60,000 for a charity. And Tony himself, from the front of the room, amazingly raised $500,000 for Operation Underground Railroad. So I give you those two contexts. We raised in 3 days, when I spoke on stage there and prepared all day on Sunday. And then I had Monday and Tuesday a full slate of delivery for our client base and amazing moments like this to share with people. I had about an extra available 2 hours. In that available 2 hours, we raised $420,000 for the American Foundation for the Blind, 7xing the prior record at Business Mastery for a raise, winning Business Mastery and setting an entirely new paradigm after 25 Business Masteries on what's possible without any prior preparation other than the intention and the ability to vibrationally transcode, as you're saying, Dave, to all the people that were there, how to do this and form the largest team in the history of Business Mastery, 220 people. with effective leadership causing it. Again, not previously organized. That's an example of what I share that Unblinded represents. The ability to do things at exponentially different levels of acceleration, and that I think articulates it. Does that make sense, Dave?
Absolutely. And you're just a tremendous milestone. And I'm going to have you back, Sean, because I know you're coming on my podcast and we have a whole bunch of other great things to do together. But Unblinded to me is a milestone in the respect that in the pragmatic world, in certain frequency or vibration, people have to see somebody. They have to see something. And it's interesting to be unblinded. We have to be able to see a milestone to where we can surpass it. So there's two things in my mind that go through when I learn about what you do and how incredible you are, is that, you know, I have spent years with my business partner, Warren Moon. And I used to tell him, you're one of the greatest milestones, because people would say you're a legacy, you're this, you know, and I've been with Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, and Warren Moon. All are milestones because they unblind people. When you're a little boy and you see Warren Moon and you look like Warren Moon, and you can say, I can be better than him. Not he can do it, I can do it. It's this expansive 7X attitude that you have, this unblinded attitude that requires milestones. And that's what your program, that's what Sean does, that's what Blaine does, and great milestones for people and providing them the tools as well through the language that you use in order to effectuate recognizing the milestone and then inspiring them to go past it. And you know, I really think, you know, I wish I had more time. I got to get into the studio with my brother for my TV show, but we're going to do more together. Just real quick, where can people find you? Or the best place to join you?
Yeah. Unblinded Clubhouse from 9 to 9:30 is now what I'm telling people is the greatest access. So just go on Clubhouse. Yeah.
I'll come join you. I'll come join you in your Clubhouse now that I know where it is.
I'll show up too.
Please do. Love you guys.
I'll do
love you. Thank you, Sean. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys. You got to get in the studio.
That's a man who, he makes a lot of money, helps a lot of people, and has a lot of fun, doesn't he?
Oh boy, I love that. Yeah, and that route open. I mean, I had a ball, you know, with that. It was very cool. I had no idea what I was walking into. I mean, I literally did it as it was part of play. It was kind of like, yeah, this could be kind of interesting. Yeah, let's go play with it. And it was a ball.
He's awesome. I'm blown away. It's like 5, you know, there's those days on a Thursday and you say to yourself, what am I doing? You know, I got 12 hours in a studio today. What am I doing? You know, and boom, I know why I'm here. These are 4 incredible guests, incredible takeaways. You know, you think Tim Storey would be the highlight, and then you get Chuck, and then you get Sean. It's incredible. All amazing from start to finish. But no one's more amazing than my mentor, Blaine Bartlett, Mindset Mastermind. I've learned so much. There's so much of you that have come through all of these people. So thank you for taking, it really meant, you know, there's certain activities or actions that happen. Somebody that's on vacation in Montana to wake up that early for these people and me, I know you're a mensch, my friend, and I love you. Thank you for coming.
Wow. The feeling is reciprocated, truly, and I cannot wait to get down to see you in a couple of weeks.
Can't wait. I'll see you soon. Have a great week. Say hi to your beautiful bride.
Well, you're going to see her before I do, I think, in Clubhouse.
Oh, cool. All right. Unstoppable Foundation, everyone. We got our gala coming up. Check it out.
There we go. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good.
You too. All right, everyone. I'm going into studio, but we got training tomorrow. We've got we have office hours. We have Clubhouse at 6 a.m. Pacific time, Breakfast of Champions, one of the biggest shows on Clubhouse. And then, of course, training at 11. You can catch all the downloads on the playbook. If you are confused about anything, just go to david@dmeltzer.com. You can get my free books, guides, exercises, access to all these great people. david@dmeltzer.com. I answer everything. A little bit cryptic on my answers, but I will answer you. Give me a chance to help. Be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to Office Hours. I'm Dave Meltzer, author, speaker, entrepreneur. Office Hours is a show with entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And we're going to dive deep into the mindset of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, how to start, how to scale, and how to exit. We're going to talk to the celebrities, the athletes, the entertainers, the billionaires, all who want to be or are entrepreneurs. and we're going to find out what it takes to have that desire that you must be what you can be, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And we're going to get inside the mindset of the entrepreneur.
You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together.
You know, we can handle hard, but it's long that bothers us. I really encourage every entrepreneur to think hard and smart, but I really give a lot of weight to an entrepreneur that works long.
I don't want to be exclusive. I don't want to create a product that's only for one person. I want it to be for everyone.
I think the beauty of a values-based approach to business is that it sets a compass in place that you can follow, whether you're dealing with a COVID, a pandemic, an economy, social unrest, or a roaring economy.
The best investment you have to make is to bet on yourself. And that's exactly what you're saying. And that's emotionally, that could be monetarily, that could be time. There's so many different, that could be giving.
The one consistent thing about them and everybody here is that just like every good house, they've got a strong foundation of core values and work ethic, right? Every last one of them spoke about the things that shaped them, and they still implement those things no matter when they jump from here to here to here, they're still doing the same things that got them to the first place.
I still remember when we bought YouTube, and it seemed like we're going to pay billions of dollars for this company that has no revenue and not even a plan to get revenue. But now it's a key part of the Alphabet strategy.
Right, a rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what's happening here. You create that elevated frequency, that elevated energy that everyone benefits from.
If you appreciate what we all are the same, it allows us to appreciate how different we are. And I say appreciate the differences. And I think that separation that exists today is something that we all need to work on, because together we'll go far. Come join me inside the greatest minds of entrepreneurship here on Office Hours.